So we are going to create CRUD first that will hold all the functionality for admin and author, which will create and develop contents for the main site. Let's go to our XAMPP installation folder and to htdocs, and here I am going to create a new folder named CRUD. Now open any of your code editor. I am using PHP Storm, and from the file menu, let's go to our recently created folder CRUD. Now we are in CRUD where I am going to create the whole functionality for admins and authors. So here we need some of the files to create the functionality. So let's first create few of these. So first file we need is login, from where any registered user will be able to log in to the control panel. Second one is registration, to let anyone register with us. So both of these are basically going to hold forms that will be filled and submitted by users. Another file we need is update_profile, to let our registered user update their profile. We also need the page that will be displayed when user will be logged in, and that will be the first main page for control panel. Let's create it and name it index.php. Keep in mind that all of these are going to have extension PHP, as we opt to create a new PHP file and the extension PHP is automatically given to them. So now let's start coding in registration.php file. This is our registration form. So to save time, here is just a simple HTML registration form containing name, email, username, password, and password again fields to fill out. One new field, and that is agree to our terms of service, that is a checkbox, and two input fields that are submit button and reset button. Within name, email, and username, I have supplied some PHP code for user friendliness that is capable to show the form data. When user will submit form, if he commits with any error, the data of these fields will be presented back to him and he won't need to fill that again. Now let's go to the browser and view our form. So here is the form we just created, but we have not written any PHP code yet. So let's fill this form with some data and submit, and nothing happened at all. Even no data was given back to the fields of this form. We haven't supplied any PHP code yet. Let's create our PHP code for this form now. So we'll receive the data here and process it in this area on this same page. So as we are going to receive data from client side, we need to sanitize it first. Let's create another PHP file and name it as sanitize, and we need only one function here to sanitize data as we created before. Let's create a function and name it as sanitize, and then parentheses and then curly braces. Now between parentheses we'll supply some data as argument. So let's place an argument here, $data. In the execution area we are going to use three internal functions: trim, strip slashes, and HTML special cars, and all of these three will be executed on supplied data. So put $data here. Store these sanitized data in a variable $data. You can name both of these alike, no issues at all. Finally, return this $data out of this function so we can use this data for further processing. Get back to the registration.php page and start a conditional statement that if the form has been submitted, only then we'll proceed further. Let's just echo form was submitted to check if everything is working fine. Otherwise, echo form was not submitted. Let's go to the browser to verify form submission. Refresh the browser and you can see else part of our conditional statement ran, as no form has been submitted yet. So let's push the submit button and you can see form was submitted message. So now we can write real code for this registration form submission. Let's delete all of this except if statement, as we would run this PHP code only if the form would have been submitted. Otherwise nothing will happen here. Now within if conditions execution area, let's grab the form data supplied by the user from $_post super global array and store them in variables. Let's create an errors array and keep it empty for now. This array will store the errors if generated any, and then we'll show all those errors from this array below near the start of the form. Let's write if condition for each mandatory field. In case it's empty, we'll store an error in our errors array. For password again, field will check two conditions, whether it's empty or not equals to password field. In case any of these returns true, an error will be stored in errors array. Dollar terms will not be checked and verified like we checked other fields, as its checkbox, and it will be only created and available in $_post array when it will be checked by user. So we need to tackle this differently. We need to check its availability in $_post array, so we need to check it directly in if condition, and we don't need to sanitize it, as its purpose is just to check if it was checked by user or not. So let's just check its availability in if condition. So let's go to the browser and check the functionality of our code we wrote till now. Let's put some dummy data and hit register, and nothing happened and no errors as well. It means our code is not generating any errors. Now when the user hits register, we need to show him different messages for the fields he left empty. So let's create this now. So right above the start of this form here, let's start the PHP tags and write a conditional statement that if count $errors means if errors array has something in it and counting of that something is greater than 0, only then proceed. In the execution area, we are going to run a for each loop that's going to dig out all the values of this array and will display them by echo statement, and just append a br tag to show errors line by line if more than one. So this code will check if the errors array has values more than 0, then it will run and a for each loop will start that is given the errors array, and it will grab all the values out of it, and we are showing each value that is error to the registrant. Little mistake here, just cracked it. Now let's go to the browser and refresh and put some dummy data in the form fields and hit register, and you can see we get the errors for the fields we left empty. Now let's provide password and hit register, and we get the error message password again is required and must match the password, and you must agree to our terms of service. Now let's give the password and match the password in password again field, and let's just agree to the terms of service as well. Hit register, and now you can see that we don't get any errors. Now we would like to register this user if and only if no errors occur. It means if all the form fields were filled by this user properly and terms of the service checkbox was checked, only then we'll register this user. So we need to place a check here by a conditional statement. If count of errors array is equals to 0, means if no error was stored in errors array, only then we'll proceed. And here in the execution area, we'll register this user, means we'll run an insert query here. So to interact with MySQL, we need to create a database, table, and connection, of course. So we are going to create database for our site in the next movie.